coming up next on Swift Waters.
Good girl, yeah.
Hi, welcome to Swift Waters. I'm Sean Gibbons.
And I'm Connie.
And today's episode, we've got two great locations. One, we're going west, out to North Dakota, the prairie potholes. It's our annual trip, and actually we do a couple trips out there. The crew just can't get enough of it. We've got some fantastic spots. Remember, all public access freelance hunting.
And the second location is another walk-in spot for me, southeastern Wisconsin. It's a DNR restoration working in 3-year project, and it's really sweet. I can stand on the ground or go into thigh-high water and do some early morning shooting.
So sit back, enjoy the show. We've got a little segment on some tips and tricks coming at you, and it's going to be a fantastic show.
The Peat Dryer is a clever device designed to effectively remove sweat, wet, and odor from footwear and gear. It dries without deteriorating the materials and without using an undue amount of energy. Peat dryers are safe for use on leather, canvas, rubber, vinyl, cloth, plastic, and all modern fabrics. Peat effectively delivers on its promise to eliminate wetness, perspiration, and odor. When you need a dependable dryer, turn to Peat Dryer. Check out Peat's fantastic product line today at peatdryer.com. Products that work, we guarantee it.
All right, so we couldn't be more excited. We're heading out to North Dakota for our first trip of the year. It's going to be another 12-hour run straight through, rotate drivers, and we'll be out for about 4 or 5 days. Well, after the 12-hour run, we hit the first spot. We've strategically placed this spot. It was just before Devil's Lake. Dan and Mike went on the north end, and they hung out up by the road. There's a bit of a choke point on there. I went all the way on the back end with Chloe. We thought we'd try to pop any birds that they jumped that were coming across the main road and then on down through the flowage. And it didn't work out too bad. The cattails were at a nice level that we could get into it and hide. As we're walking down, Chloe's being extremely good. Now keep in mind, she's a pup. This is her first time going out. And we had the luxury of taking her out to North Dakota just from a volume of ducks. So she's like 14 months. I'm a little nervous to see how she's going to do. We get down in that area. We're down in the cattails. I peek my head out. I got a couple teal swimming around. One's just about in range. I wait for it. It comes in range. I go ahead and take it. And it's mainly just to see how Chloe's going to react on this thing. And she does fantastic. The long retrieve swims all the way out. Right for it. I'm all excited, yelling commands like crazy, I'm sure. And she brings the bird back. Bam, we got the first bird in. After that, we're fortunate enough, we get a couple more birds doing some pass shooting. Got a mallard down, same thing.
Fetch it up. Fetch him up. Come on. Hey, come on, get him. Go get him. Come on, go get him.
She goes right out after it, brings it back. Comes right up to me. Now she's swimming, keep in mind, because I'm still in about thigh deep of water, and she passes right on by me and just goes right up to the land, which is good. Bird in mouth, never dropped it, never flinched. I catch up to her, and we got two in the bag in the first 45 minutes to an hour. So, all the training, all up to that point, is really paying off when you see these dogs, pull in their first birds. Everybody's happy about that.
Swift Waters will return after these messages. Swift Waters would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support: Beavertail, McMiller Sports Center, Gammo, Swift Waters would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support: Thermacell, iGogs, Manzella.
Start the morning out bright and early. The day before, we ended up getting access to a private pond. It's a plot access. The landowner, I've known him for a couple of years now, and he opened up again and said, you know, go ahead and take a crack at it. We're here about a half hour before opener. Still pretty dark, nice wind. The temperature's a little warmer than yesterday. It's probably about 40, 45 degrees, I gotta think. Yesterday there were ice on the pond. So it is still the opening weekend. You know, the birds are just dropping in. You know, decoys, you can throw them if you want, but you know, as my old saying is, you want to be where the birds want to be. Man, we have been where they want to be. So we're literally just off of an old maintenance service road. Dan and I get down in the slough. We're standing about knee deep of water. I got Chloe built up on a little pack of reeds just to keep her up out of the water. You know, as you know, the pups can't, A, they can't just stand in one spot. B, you know, to keep them submerged into water that length of time, you go on a chance of ruining them just because they're going to be that uncomfortable. So we try to get her up. We just lay cattails down. She climbs up on it, and we're waiting it out. You know, the morning flight. You know, we got our fingers crossed, high expectations. This spot is just going to be loaded with birds. Well, what do we get? One fantastic sunrise. I mean, it went through about a 15-minute window of just brilliant orange. I think Dan even got a little steamy on me on this whole deal. You know, we waited further, had a couple ones that sneaked by us, and man, it just didn't pan out the way we were expecting it to. Thank goodness Dan is there, because he took a crack at a couple that went on the far side, and you know, he downed them. So across the marsh or across the pond, he's got a truck after this thing, and it's always one of those deals that, you know, it doesn't look very deep, but he's in thigh deep of water and, you know, 8 inches of goo underneath him. But he muscles through, picks his birds up. We meet back up on the road, and you know, after that piece, let's hit our next spot. The three of us converge back on the truck. You know, Mike's in the navigation. We're heading down the roads, and the next thing is, okay, where do we go? So the satellite's out. You know, we've got the paper map, and we're just tracking down, and we're looking for any sign of birds at all. We come across another plots area, and it's a large body of water that we see off in a distance, high cattails that surround the whole thing. And I'm like, there's birds in there, guys. I'm convinced there's birds in it. So we wheel the truck over. You know, they're like, sure, whatever. You know, we wheel the truck over and we start walking out. We're kind of fanned out. Dan and Ty are going to take to the far end of it. Mike and I are going to go on the other end. At this point, we do see there's a lot of birds in it. But it's also a very big piece of water, a lot larger than we were anticipating. As well, the approach is just horrendous, meaning, you know, the cattails are right up against the prairie grass, and as soon as you hit the cattails, you start dropping into water. And immediately we're down in the thigh deep of water itself, trying to cut through the cattails. And the cattails got all the, you know, the bloom, you know, all the furry stuff. The wind's kicking, it's blowed up. I can't even see. It's just laughable, you know. And of course, Mike and I are trying to just muscle it all the way down to the far end. Cell reception's pretty poor, so we can't communicate with the other half of the guys to say, you know, go in, because we know once we blow these birds out of there, they're going to bump out, and you know, as part of the jumpsuit, and they're going to bump out, and they're off to another pothole. So Mike and I are trying to make our way just up to the water's edge, you know, and Chloe's behind me. She's swimming because it's already, you know, past my waist deep of water. Mike cuts in, I cut in, and boom, here comes the birds over us. You know, they got some shooting in, you know, that without a doubt they got some shooting in, which is good. We were just in the wrong location by the time they start coming over us, and we're moving, you know. They did fly over top of us, but we muscle it all the way up to the water's edge. I should say I got as close as I possibly could. But now it's getting very deep. I try to get a little rat's nest put together for Chloe with the cattails to get her up out of the water, because she's been swimming the entire time. Mike's on the other edge, you know, next to me, probably about 20 yards, which I have a hard time even seeing. And we're standing there, you know, wind's kicking us, and it's a bluebird sky. We blew the birds out, and there's nothing happening. So we kind of looked at each other, and, you know, in the direction and said, let's get on down the road.
Swiftwaters would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support: Smart Targets, 511, Tangle Free, Swiftwaters would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Mud Buddy, Lacrosse Footwear.
All right, well today we ended up going to one of our favorite spots. It is down by Devil's Lake. It's a private piece of land. We ended up getting permission onto it. Dan, Mike, Dave, Ty, they're all up on the slough area. I'm sitting right on a minimal maintenance road. Well, here we are. We are at day 2, and we mixed it up a little bit. I'm actually hunting off of a farmer's in between a choke point on 2 different bays, and I've got some high hopes we're going to get some good pass shooting right over top of us here. I just saw a set of 4 go into where Mikey's at. I'm sitting up a little high and dry, which is kind of nice, to be very candid. You know, it's dark out. It's a real ability to be able to see both sides, and it is strictly pass shooting. The birds are not decoying in at all. They're just hammering between the two areas. It's fast-paced shooting. I love it. It's kind of like back in Wisconsin wood duck hunting. So, you know, right away I got 2 that come through, boom, boom, pulling a trigger, drop them just 20 yards behind me, just off the ditch. I got Chloe back in there picking them up, staying a little bit longer, you know, bam, bam. I got to say I'm behind some of them, you know, other ones, I don't know, maybe I'm ahead of them, I doubt it. But, you know, I missed a few. Boom, put a couple more down. Chloe's back on it, got a blue-winged teal in, got a shoveler in. You know, it's just extremely fast-paced. What a mixed bag, huh? And a blue-winged teal. The only thing I didn't see, which I was hoping, was some big mallards coming by. The whole morning hunt ended up being extremely good. I put 4 down. Some of it you got to be careful. You don't want to, you know, tag out right on a morning hunt, because then your day's shot. So you almost kind of pace yourself. You don't do anything more than 4, then it gives us the ability to go out and hit a couple more spots. And that's what we do. You know, the guys all reconvene. Dave comes up and he's got one down that he wants a little bit of help. So Chloe and I go back out to the marsh. She's down in rooting it around. He's got a cripple in there. He's on the back side. And I got Chloe down in. I physically see the cripple. She gets right up to it, and she wouldn't grab it on me. I kept her on it, but she wouldn't grab hold of it. The bird swam, dove under, of course, you know, dove under right in front of her, and the darn thing doesn't come up. So I'm over there trying to assist her, and we can't find the bird. It didn't come up. I couldn't rustle it around underneath. So you know, ultimately we came up empty-handed with it. We all converge back on the truck. We decide to head north. So as we go to our next location, parked right in the yard. Mike went directly out by the barns. Now this is all flooded up from Devil's Lake, so you know half of the farmhouse is underwater. Mike's right out on a point, and he's got shooting immediately. I mean, he was just on fire out there. You know, pass shooting birds. I opted out of that because I had Chloe, and I'd already spent 2 days with her without any type of structure to be able to stand, and he's standing in about thigh deep of water. So Chloe and I take a walkabout on the far end. Now this is a property we have never been at, so we're you know on the ground, on foot, just scouting this property. I do have my phone out and I'm looking at the terrain on the GPS, and it looks like there's a couple feeder creeks, as well as a couple little back ponds to this. I'm going to call it a lake, in my regards. Now the downside with the satellites are you don't actually know when that moment in time the image was on the satellite and where we're at during that moment in time we're on the ground. So sometimes it can look like it's a big pothole. It may have dried up in the meantime, and that's what happened. The water level had already dropped down. I did find the potholes that I was seeing on my satellite, as well as the creeks coming in, and they were all dried up. So Chloe and I, you know, we humped it for probably 3 miles down the shoreline, turned around and came all the way back to where the guys are. Absolute nothing. 2 coot, 2 ruddies. And the ruddies, as you guys know, they're under and they're gone. And we reconvened and said, well, let's, you know, are we going to honker in here for an evening hunt, or are we going to chance it and try to find another one? And the reality is we honkered in. I went again to the other direction, came up to just a mud slop hole, you know, and Dan's next to me, and he's like, he's gonna go up on the water edge and kind of sit it there. I got as far as I did, and I told Chloe, I said, this isn't going to work out. Started heading back towards the truck, and we were going to take a different route. Dan cuts me off, and he's like, there's a bay up here that's chock full of mallards. We got to go. And of course, it's right where I just turned around, So, but now I know there's birds up in there. So the three of us muscle our way through all this goo. We loop around the backside, and there's a point that extends out. The water level's so low, it's drawn all the way out, probably about 200 yards from where the cattail is, and it's just a mud flat. And the birds are just hanging out in that area. So we try to get as quiet as we can. We're playing the wind, we're playing the sun. We get down, we get into the cattails, and we're trying to plan this out. When are we going to say go time? Pull up, boom, we got some birds.
Good girl. Come on. Cool. Good girl. There you go. Beautiful, Dan. There you go, Dan.
We get back in the truck finally, and we head back into town. So it was, yet another great day.
Swiftwaters will return after these messages. Swiftwaters would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support: Big Al's Decoys, Bug Band, Swiftwaters would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support: Lodge, Waterfowl Wading Systems by Caddis.
One of the biggest things you consistently hear us say is we always are looking for a new spot, and we do it for a couple different reasons, just to kind of reiterate it. These birds are always moving, right? So we don't focus on one particular hot spot or one particular generation hole each year.
They're not going to be there from year to year.
And due to the changing environment, water levels, predators, the flights, the weather, those 5 to 6 spots usually change, every year. So how do we do that? I think we're getting pretty good in a routine.
We have a variety of different ways, methods. You got your old standard map. I like to look at a map. I do. I'm going to find, the public land, the DNR land, and then go about it.
We start using the other tools. So I like electronics. If I didn't have to use a map, I wouldn't. So I'm back into the GPS. This is a Garmin Montana 600. It's a very nice unit, full touch screen, and you can get any types of maps downloaded onto it, as well as there's some other specialty maps that will actually look at private land and ownerships associated with them.
Don't be afraid to reach out to your local DNR, the Fish and Game, and just get out there and go scouting. Some of the best places are just fly by the seat of your pants, and you just happen to come across them.
There are subsequent tools, so keep in mind, your smartphones, the GPSs that are available, the hard maps themselves. Get off out of those chairs and get outside.
We traveled from pothole to pothole and came across the edge of Devil's Lake and thought, let's give the shore of the big lake an opportunity. It's another very, very windy day.
We're going down to the big lake. We find this peninsula that drops on out, and all 4 of us get out, and we head down the peninsula, and then we head due north along the shoreline. The wind is still kicking at us, and it's right in the face, 30 miles an hour. So we kind of spread across the shoreline, in hopes that we're going to get some birds that are just passing by that we can get on it. And sure enough, the bluebills, those they just love to be low flying on the deck and just smoking fast.
Gotta be ready for them though.
Yeah. One comes ripping by, and we pull up and drop it. Yep. Miss Chloe's out there; she's fetching it, which is awesome.
I know, good retrieve for her.
Set out there for a bit longer, but just due to the fact that the wind's hitting us right on, and the other birds that are flying, they're twice as far out.
Yeah, too far to shoot. So we just decided to wrap it up and call it a day. Dark 30, I navigate to this walk-in spot. Good morning. It's ready to shoot. Ducks flew out, so I'm hoping there's still some late flyers out here. So as the sun starts coming up, you can just hear the birds. They're whistling. There's wood ducks there. I'm getting super excited. You're getting an itch in your pants to where it's like, okay, get ready. And pretty soon, sure enough, here the flock comes over. I take 2 shots and, I get a duck down. I still hear them at the other end, hoping they're going to fly my way when they decide to get up and go for breakfast, but nothing happens. So I move from my location and I go get my duck.
Drake wood duck. Ooh, yeah, beauty.
Swiftwaters would like to thank Garmin for their generous support. Check out their full product line at garmin.com.
You know, North Dakota trips are always great. The prairie potholes. Each time we go out there, we tried a little bit something different. The birds were good this year, you know, but we're always looking for a new angle. And next year coming up, we're going out on the water.
Yep, Devil's Lake, some other different water areas. We want it. I want a longer time out there next year, different kind of hunting. So it's pretty exciting. We do enjoy it. Then followed up by my walk-in spot. It's a new DNR restoration area. I found it, happened to enjoy it. This year was a little bit different though. A lot of clear skies in the morning. So 5-10 minutes, the ducks fly out, season opens, and guess what? There's no ducks.
So, you know, you guys can do it too. It's a great way to get out there.
Don't forget to tune in next week and follow us on Facebook.
And try to keep up, will you?
On the next episode of Swiftwaters.